She whispered, "It's just a phase," while I stood there, frozen, my mind struggling to process what I had just seen. The small velvet box in my hand felt like it was burning me, even though it wasn't even mine. My heart was racing, pounding in my chest like I'd just run a marathon. My thoughts were a mess, tangled up in disbelief, anger, and confusion. I didn't know how long I had been standing there before I spoke, but when I did, it was like my voice came from someone else. "What do you mean it's just a phase, Sarah?" My voice was shaky, thick with disbelief. I stared at her, trying to read her expression. She looked like she was on the verge of tears, like she was ready to explain, to make it all go away with one of her soothing words that always made everything feel okay. But nothing about this felt okay. She cut herself off, her eyes flicking to the ring I was holding, then back to me. "It's not what you think. It's just a phase." A moment of confusion. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I was still holding the ring in my hand, but now it felt like a weight I couldn't shake off. The ring wasn't just a piece of jewelry, it was a promise. The kind of promise you make when you tell someone you're going to spend your life together. And she had been hiding it from me, hiding it from us. A ring that wasn't for me, but for someone else. I dropped my gaze to the ring again, unable to look at her, not yet ready to process her words. The weight of it was suffocating. This wasn't a random piece of jewelry. This was an engagement ring, set with a diamond that shimmered even in the dim light of our living room. I couldn't breathe. My chest felt like it was caving in. When I finally managed to meet her eyes, my words came out in a whisper, almost like I didn't want to hear them myself. "Who is he, Sarah? Who's the one you're planning a future with? Who's the one you're buying rings for behind my back?" She flinched, her whole body reacting like I'd slapped her. Her face paled, and her hands started to tremble. I'd never seen her look like this. She wasn't trying to hide it anymore. Whatever it was breaking her down too. It's not like that," she said, her voice barely above a whisper now, as if she was trying to convince herself more than me. "It's not what you think. I don't know. I don't know why I did it. I never meant to hurt you." I felt a flicker of rage and pain rise up in me, threatening to break free. "You don't know why you did it? You've been planning this, Sarah. You've been hiding this from me. And now you're standing here, telling me it's just a phase? Just a mistake." Her face twisted with guilt. "I never meant for it to go this far. It was just a mistake. I didn't want you to find out this way. I never wanted to hurt you, Chris." But it didn't matter anymore. The words she said didn't mean anything. The ring, the lies, the months of secrecy, it all told me a different story. "A mistake," I repeated, my voice hoarse, struggling to keep it together. "You've been wearing this ring, hiding it, keeping it from me for months, and it's a mistake. This isn't just a mistake, Sarah. This is something real. This is a choice." I looked at the ring again, holding it in my hand, feeling the weight of it in my palm. The diamond glinted in the light, mocking me, reminding me of everything she hadn't said. The promise it represented wasn't for me, and no amount of her words could change that. I don't know what to say," Sarah whispered. She took a step closer, but I backed away, holding the ring like it was some kind of weapon. She wasn't going to come near me now, not after this. "I didn't mean to hurt you, Chris. I swear. I didn't think it was. I didn't think you'd find out." Her voice cracked as she said that, and I almost wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe that this was all some kind of mistake, that she was just confused and hadn't really thought it through. But I knew better. This wasn't a mistake. This was a betrayal. "Who is he?" I asked again, the words coming out slower this time, more controlled. But even as I said it, I didn't know if I wanted to hear the answer. I didn't know if I could handle it. Her eyes dropped to the floor, her hands wringing together nervously. "It's just someone I've been seeing. Someone who I thought would understand me better. I'm sorry, Chris. I never wanted to hurt you." A sick feeling churned in my stomach. It wasn't just about the ring anymore. It wasn't just about the engagement or the betrayal. It was about everything she had said in the past few weeks. The little cracks that had started to appear in our relationship, the distance she had put between us. The late nights at work, the late night texts that she'd always claimed were nothing. But this was something, and it wasn't just a phase. I could feel my chest tightening, my throat closing up. I didn't know what to do with myself. The woman I thought I knew, the woman I'd been planning a future with, was gone. And in her place was someone else, someone I didn't recognize. I let out a shaky breath, barely able to choke out the words. "You're leaving me, aren't you?" She didn't answer. And that silence was louder than anything she could have said. I could hear her breathing, ragged and shallow, and I could see the pain in her eyes. But all I felt was emptiness. It was as if the floor had been ripped out from under me. The woman I loved, the woman I thought I would spend the rest of my life with, had already made her decision. And all I was left with was a ring that wasn't mine. I didn't know how much longer I stood there, holding that ring in my hand. I didn't know if I could ever look at her the same way again. Maybe I wouldn't, but all I could do was walk away. I had to walk away. Part 2. The days after that moment feel like a blur now. The ring, the betrayal, Sarah's face, all of it stuck in my mind like some kind of sickening loop I couldn't escape. It's like everything I knew about our life together was suddenly shattered, and I had to pick up the pieces of myself while trying to make sense of the wreckage. The worst part wasn't the fact that she was leaving me. It was that she was already gone in every way that mattered long before I found out. I gave her space at first. I didn't know what to say. The apartment felt suffocating. The silence between us was thick, and even when we did talk, it felt like we were speaking different languages. Sarah barely spoke to me after that night. She had stayed at her friend's place for a few days, only coming back long enough to grab the last of her things. And every time she left or came back, there was an awkward, aching gap between us that no words could fix. On the third day, I did something I regret now. I checked her phone. I know it was a violation of her privacy, but I felt like I was suffocating and I needed answers. I couldn't just sit around waiting for her to explain herself. I needed to know how long this had been going on, who this guy was, what the hell had been happening behind my back. I couldn't breathe without it. I scrolled through her texts. They were innocuous at first, just messages from friends, work texts, all the usual things. But as I kept scrolling, my stomach sank. There they were, the messages from him, the guy, the one who had taken my place without me even knowing. The messages were full of inside jokes, shared memories, plans for the future that didn't include me. There was one text that made me want to punch a hole through the wall. He had asked her what kind of ring she wanted, and her response had been a picture of a similar one to the one I'd found that night. I didn't even know who this guy was. All I knew was that Sarah had been hiding him from me for months, if not longer. And now, she was planning a future with him. That was the hardest part, the fact that I had never even seen it coming. She had been so good at hiding it. I should have confronted her right then. I should have demanded answers, forced her to tell me everything. But I didn't. I just stood there, staring at her phone, feeling like an idiot for trusting someone who didn't deserve it. My heart ached so much I could barely think straight. Eventually, I decided I had to do something. I couldn't keep living in limbo. I couldn't just let this go without knowing the full truth. So I called her. "Sarah," I said, trying to keep my voice steady even though I felt like I was about to break down. "We need to talk. Can you come over?" I could hear her hesitation on the other end of the line, and for a moment, I thought she might refuse. But finally, she said, "Okay, I'll be there in an hour." I was a mess by the time she arrived. I had no idea what I was going to say. I just knew that I couldn't let this go without confronting her face to face. My hand was shaking when she walked through the door. She was carrying a small bag, as though she was preparing to leave for good. The sight of it made my chest tighten. She stood in the doorway for a moment, not saying anything, just looking at me. Her face was pale, tired. Her eyes were red-rimmed, like she hadn't slept in days. But I didn't feel sorry for her anymore. I couldn't. "Sarah," I started, my voice quiet but firm. "I know about him. I know what's been going on." Her eyes flicked to the floor, her lips pressing together in a tight line. She didn't speak, and in that silence, I could feel the weight of everything she hadn't said. I couldn't look at her the same way anymore. The trust one had placed in her had evaporated. And now, all I had were questions that I needed answers to. "Who is he?" I asked again, my voice barely above a whisper. "Tell me, who is he, Sarah? How long have you been seeing him?" She exhaled shakily, her eyes darting around the room. "Chris," her voice cracked, and she stopped herself. It was like she was searching for the right words, but I knew there was no right way to explain what she had done. "Just tell me." I insisted, my frustration rising. I deserved to know. She seemed to shrink back a little, her shoulders slumping as if the weight of her secret was finally crashing down on her. His name is Mark, she said, her voice barely audible. He's someone I met at work. He's been there for me when you weren't. It was like she had slapped me. It wasn't just that she had cheated on me. It was the fact that she had felt so lonely, so disconnected, that she had found comfort in someone else. I wasn't the man she needed anymore, and I couldn't blame her for that. I hadn't been the man she needed for a long time. I tried to swallow the lump in my throat. You've been planning a future with him, haven't you? I couldn't even look at her when I said it because it hurt too much. The idea that she had been planning this, all the while I was left in the dark, was unbearable. She nodded slowly, not meeting my gaze. I didn't mean for it to happen like this. It wasn't supposed to go this far. I'm sorry, Chris. I never wanted to hurt you. I didn't know how to react. The apology felt empty, like it was too little, too late. I had given her everything, trusted her completely, and in return, she had betrayed me. It was almost like everything I had ever done for her, every sacrifice, had been forgotten in favor of someone else. You're not sorry, I said, my voice colder than I intended. You're sorry you got caught. If you were really sorry, you wouldn't have done this in the first place. She flinched, but I didn't care anymore. There was no fixing this. There was no going back to what we were. I had seen enough. I had heard enough. I need you to leave, I said, my voice trembling but firm. I need you to go. She stood there for a moment, looking at me, as though waiting for me to change my mind. But I didn't. I couldn't. I watched her leave, watched her take the last of her things and disappear from my life. I didn't even feel the weight of it until the door clicked shut behind her. The apartment was eerily silent after she left. I couldn't breathe. But as much as it hurt, I knew it was the right thing to do. I wasn't going to be someone's second choice, someone's maybe. I deserved better than that. And I wasn't going to wait around for her to come back, no matter how much I loved her. I had to let go.